Hi, it's N.K.O, Natasha N.K.O, 27th of June, Saturday evening, 18:37 p.m. I'm introducing a new book into the rotation. It's called African Tales. It's a compilation of African tales by one Harold Schreib. Sherb or Shrew? Sherb. Scheub. Sherb. I'd say Sherb. So he is one of the world's leading scholars of African folk tales. And this book is the broadest collection that's been assembled with tales that come from the entire continent. So I'm familiar with West African tales and proverb stories and stuff. And I've now become familiar with affiliation ones, which are like what it says is. But this includes the entire continent. So there'll be some North African stories in here. So I'm quite excited to read those because if I'm not mistaken, I don't really know any North African people. So I don't know their stories. So it'll be really interesting to see the similarities and differences though. What else does it say? Lubba, 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 lubba. Shib includes the work of storytellers from major African language groups, as well as many storytellers whose work is not often heard outside of Africa. And it says, realizing that these tales are part of a dying art, Shib writes for the inner ear in everyone, bringing an oral tradition to life in written form. But it just doesn't quite, it's not quite complete unless it's spoken, I think. So the first tale, before the stories, the curator of these tales has written an essay about his task in collecting the stories and compiling it. So maybe once I've read all the stories, if I'm loving them, then I'll read the essay. It's called Story and Storyteller. I'll read the first paragraph and then I'm going to get onto the stories, which is what I enjoy doing. Collecting stories from the oral tradition is an arduous task when one considers the complexity of the storytelling performance. It is not simply the words of the storyteller that are the critical aspect of this artistic event. There is also the body of the performer to consider, the dance-like movements of the body, the use of the voice, the deeply emotional relationship between storyteller and audience. It is a performance that one seeks to capture in words, not simply the words. Too frequently, the stories that are taken from the oral tradition are scripts rather than performances. And he does a lot to acknowledge and position himself as a white man without saying so directly. African Tales, the first story. A lovely picture of a Xhosa storyteller from October 28, 1975. Xhosa is spelled Xhosa. I'm guessing the pronunciation. First story is Kwaku, Anansi, and Aso. And it says Asante in Ghana in brackets. There once lived a certain man called Akwasi the Jealous One. His wife was Aso, and he did not want anyone to see Aso or anyone to talk to her. So he went and built a small settlement for Aso to live in. No one ever went into the village. Now Akwasi the Jealous One could not beget children. Because of that, if he and his wife lived in town, someone would take her away. Sky God told young men, Akwasi the Jealous One has been married to Asol for a very, very long time. She has not conceived by him and borne a child. Therefore, he who is able, let him go and take Asol. And should she conceive by him, let him take her as a wife, take her as his wife. All the young men tried their best to lay hands on her, but not one was able. Now Quaker and Nancy was there watching these events, and he said, I can go to Akwasi the Jealous One's village. Sky God said, can you really do so? And Nancy said, if you will give me what I require. Sky God said, What kind of thing? He said, medicine for gun and bullets. And Sky God gave it to him. And Nancy took the powder and bullets to various small villages, saying, Sky God has told me to bring powder and bullets to you, and you are to go and kill meat. On the day that I return here, I shall take the meat and depart. He distributed the powder and the bullets among very many small villages, until all were finished. All the villagers got him some meat. On a certain day, Anansi wove a palm leaf basket. Its length was from here to over yonder. Anansi took it to the small villages where he had distributed the powder and bullets, to receive all the meat which they had killed. Father Anansi took the meat and palm leaf basket and set it on his head, and set out on the path leading to Akwaisi, the Jealous One's settlement. When he reached the stream from which Akwaisi and his wife drank, he picked out some meat and put it in. Anansi strove hard and brought the palm leaf basket full of meat and passed through the main entrance leading into Akwaisi, the Jealous One's compound. And Asa saw him. She said, Akwaisi, come and look at something that is coming to the house here. What can it be? And Nancy said, It is Sky God who is sending me. I am weary and am coming to sleep here. Akwaisi, the Jealous One, said, I have heard my Lord's servant. Asa said to Anansi, Father man, some of your meat has fallen down at the main entrance to the compound. The spider said, Oh, if you happen to have a dog, let it go and take that meat and chew on it. So Asa went and got it and gave it to her husband. Then Anansi said, Mother, set some food on the fire for me. Asa put some on, and Anansi said, Mother, is it fufu that you are cooking or eto? Asa replied, Fufu. Anansi said, Then it is too little. Go and fetch the big pot. Asa went and fetched a big one. Anansi said, Come and get meat. There were 40 hindquarters of great beasts. He said, Take these only and put them in, and if you had a pot big enough, I would give you enough meat to chew to make your teeth fall out. Asa finished preparing the food, turned it out of the pot and placed it on the table, splashed water and put it beside the rest of the food. Then Asa took her portion and went and set it down near the fire, and the men went and sat down beside the table. They touched the backs of each other's hands. While they were eating, Kwaku and Nancy said, There is no salt in this fufu. Akwesi said to Asa, Bring some salt. But Anansi said, No, when a woman is eating, you should not tell her to get up to bring salt. You yourself should go and bring it. Akwesi got up, and Anansi looked into his bag and took out a pinch of purgative medicine and put it in the fufu. Then he called Akwesi, saying, Come, I had brought some salt with me. When Akwesi came, Anansi said, Oh, I shall eat no more. I am full. Akwesi, who suspected nothing, continued eating. When they finished eating, Akwesi said, Friend, we and you are sitting here, and yet we do not know your name. Anansi said, I am called Rise Up and Make Love to Asa. Akwasi said, I have heard. And you, Asa, have you heard this man's name? Asa replied, Yes, I have heard. Akwasi rose to go and prepare one of the spare bedrooms and to make all comfortable. He said, Rise up and make love to Asa. This is your room. Go and sleep there. The spider said, I am the sole washer to Sky God, and I sleep in an open veranda room. Since mother bore me and father begat me, I have never slept in a closed bedroom. Akwasi said, Then where will you sleep? He replied, Were I to sleep in this open veranda room here, that would make you equal to Sky God, for it would mean that I was sleeping in Sky God's open veranda room. Since I am never to sleep in anyone's open room except that of Sky God, I shall just lie down in front of this closed sleeping room where you repose. The man took out a sleeping mat and laid it there for him. Akwasi and his wife went to rest, and Anansi too lay down there. Anansi lay there, and he slipped in the crossbar of the bedroom door. Then he lay there and took his musical bow and sang. Aquamoa Ananse, today we shall achieve something today. Ananse, the child of Nsia, the mother of Niame, the sky god. Today we shall achieve something today. Ananse, the soul washer to Niame, the sky god. Today I shall see something. Now he stopped playing his musical instrument and laid it aside, and then he lay down. He slept for some time. When he heard Akwasi, the jealous one, calling, "Father man," not a sound in reply except the chirping of the cicadas. Din, "Father, father man," not a sound in reply except the chirping of the cicada. Din, Akwasi, the jealous one, is dying. The medicine has taken effect on him, but he calls, "Father man." Not a sound in reply, except the chirping of the cicada. Dean. At last he said, "Rise up and make love to Assam." The spider said, "Mm-mm-mm." Akwasi said, "Open the door for me." And Nancy opened the door, and Akwasi went somewhere. And the spider rose and went into the room there. He said, "Assam, did you not hear what your husband said?" She replied, "What did he say?" Anansi replied, "He said I must rise up and make love to you." Assam said, "You don't lie." And he did it for her, and he went and lay down. That night, Akwasi rose up 9 times. The spider also went 9 times to where Assam was. Wait. When things became visible next morning and Nancy set off, it was about 2 moons later when Assan's belly became large. Akwasi questioned her, saying, "Why has your belly got like this? Perhaps you are ill, for you know that I who live with you here am unable to beget children." Assan replied, "You forget that man who came here and whom you told to rise up and make love to Assan. Well, he took me, and I have conceived by him." Akwasi, the jealous one, said, "Rise up and let me take you and give you to him." They went to Sky God's town. On the way, Assan gave birth. They reached Sky God's town and went and told Sky God what had happened, saying, "A subject of yours whom you sent slept at my house and took Assan, and she conceived by him." Sky God said, "All my subjects are roofing the houses. Go and point out the one you mean." They went off, and the spider was sitting on a ridge pole. Assan said, "There he is." And Anansi ran and sat on the middle. Again Assan said, "There he is." Then Anansi fell down from where he was sitting. Now that day was Friday. Anansi said, "I, who was Sky God's soul, you have taken your hand and pointed it at me, so that I have fallen down and got red earth on me." Immediately the attendant seized Akwasi the jealous one and made him sacrifice a sheep. When Akwasi the jealous one had finished sacrificing the sheep, he said to Sky God, "Here is the woman, let Anansi take her." And so Anansi took Assan, but as for the infant, they killed it, cut it into pieces and scattered them about. That is how jealousy came among the people. This, my story, which I have related, if it be sweet or if it be not sweet, some you may take as true, and the rest you may praise me for telling of it. The end. Second story in the book is called Akenda and Barney, and beneath that, I think is a location, or Apinji, Apinji, and in brackets is Gabon. Rejua, a king, had a daughter called Arondo, and she was very beautiful. Rejua said, "A man may give me slaves, goods or ivory to marry my daughter, but he will not get her. I want only a man who will agree that when Arondo falls ill, he will fall ill also, and that when Arondo dies, he will die also." Time went on, and as people knew this, no one came to ask for Arondo in marriage. But one day, a man called Akenda Mbani came, and he said to Rajua, "I have come to marry Arondo, your daughter. I come because I will agree that when Arondo dies, I will die also." So Akenda Mbani married Arondo. Akenda Mbane was a great hunter, and after he had married Arondo, he went hunting and killed 2 wild boars. When he returned, he said, "I have killed 2 boars and bring you one." Rajua said, "Go and fetch the other." Akenda Mbane said, "My father gave me a law that I must never go twice to the same place." Another day he went hunting again and he killed 2 antelopes. When he returned, he said to Rajua, "Father, I have killed 2 antelopes and I bring you one." The king said, "Please, my son-in-law, go and fetch the other." He answered, "You know I cannot go twice to the same place." Another time he went hunting again and he killed 2 bongos. Then Rajua, who saw that all the other animals were being lost, said, "Please, my son-in-law, show the people the place where the other bongo is." Akenda Mbani said, "If I do so, I am afraid I shall die." In the evening of the same day, a canoe from the Arungao country came with goods and remained on the riverside. Akenda Mbani said to his wife, "Let us go and meet the Arungao people." They saw them and then took a box full of goods and went back to their own house. The people of the village traded with the Arungao, and when the Arungao wanted to go back, they came to Akenda Mbani, and he trusted them with 10 slaves and many bunches of plantains, mats, and fowls. Then the Arungao left. Months passed. Then one day Arundo said to her husband, "We have never opened the box that came with the Arungao. Let us see what is in it." They opened it and saw cloth. Then Arundo said, "Husband, cut me 2 fathoms of it, for I like it." They left the room. Arundo seated herself on the bed and Akenda Mbani on a stool, and then Arundo suddenly said, "Husband, I begin to have a headache." Akenda Mbani said, Arundo, do you want me to die?" And he looked Arundo steadily in the face. He tied a bandage around her head and did the same to his arm. Arundo began to cry as her headache became worse, and when the people of the village heard her cry, they all came around her. Rajua came and said, "Do not cry, my daughter. You will not die." Then Arundo said, "Father, why do you say I shall not die? For if you fear death, you may be sure it will come." She had hardly said these words than she expired. Then all the people mourned, and Rajua said, "Now my daughter is dead, so Akenda Mbani must die also." The place where people are buried is called Jimai. Dijimai, Jimai. The villagers went there and dug a place for the 2 corpses, which were buried together. Rajua had a slave buried with a rondo, along with a tusk of an elephant, rings, mats, plates, and the bed on which Akenda Mbani and the rondo had slept. The cutlass, the hunting bag, and the spear of Akenda Mbani were also buried. Then the people said, "Let us cover the things with sand and make a little mound." When Agambao, the speaker of the village, heard of this, he said to Rajua, "There are leopards here." Rajua said, "Do not have a mound over my child's burial place, lest the leopards come and scratch the ground and eat the corpse of my child." The people said, "Then let us build a deeper hole." And they took away Arondo and Akenda Mbani and placed both on stools. Then they dug and put back the things that were to be buried with Arondo, then laid her in her place. Then they came to Akenda Mbani, who awoke and said, "I never go twice to the same place." "You put me in the tomb and you took me away from it, though all of you knew that I never go to the same place again." When Rajua heard of this, he became very angry and said, "You knew that Akenda Mbani never goes twice to the same place. Why did you remove him?" Then he ordered the people to catch Agambao and cut his head off. The end. Thanks for listening.